Right.
Right? Because you're going to make errors. So the error in the law of efficiency applied is telling you something on a Freudian slip.
Right.
Right. And that's how you see beyond what's on the surface. Like, let's say it's 10 of us outside in the front porch and we all talking about dogs. Right? All of a sudden, one of us in the middle of talking about a dog say we need to duck the shotgun. Nigga, look for this nigga coming with the shotgun. Because we probably going to hear the dogs bark right before he show itself. The Freudian slip just told us he was coming. That's an example of how it worked. We weren't talking about shotguns. We was talking about dogs. But the Freudian slip was worrying about the shotgun. It could have been a dog named Shotgun, but he didn't make that clear to everybody in the circle.
Right.
Right? So now we looking for the shotgun. Lo and behold, here come a motherfucker coming through the motherfucking between the houses with a shotgun. And now we all ready because we read the error as a message.
Right.
What's this? What part does the Galactic Council play in
Our liberation?
If we don't do our part, they ain't gonna play no part.
Get back.
Right? But if we do our part, they gonna make sure that it's enforced from a galactic perspective.
Right. How bad, famo? This we let the cat out the back door. This man and caught a rat and broke his neck. I gotta take him out. This little guy gone.
The cat caught a rat.
Hey. That must be some type of sign, huh?
Hey, yeah, definitely a sign. What color is your cat?
Black.
Okay.
Yeah, he gone. You had him outside? Yeah, she was in here panicking, that's why.
Well, you know, women don't really care for them rodents too much.
Right.
Unless they grow up playing with them as part of their, you know, their culture.
Mm-hmm. Let me go ahead and wash these hands real quick. Right. Somebody. Now I'm gonna be thinking about that shit all night. Cause the other day, my bad, maybe you can't hear me. Cause the other day, I got another sign from Spirit. Like Hawks is one of my totems, and I see him everywhere I go. And the other day, I'm driving down the road, and a hawk swooped in front of the car with a rabbit. He didn't caught a rabbit, and he like Rod. When I tell you I had to brake because I was about to hit the hawk and the rabbit, like dead ass, I had to brake. And I'm like, okay, that's God telling me it's time to strike. It's time to do what I'm supposed to be doing. But man, these little messages be coming now. As soon as you tap in, it's like they come nonstop.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: everything is a message, but we don't read everything as a message.
Mm-hmm. That's real. Ain't no coincidences. I see it in everything now to the point where I be feeling like paranoid. I be like, come on now, you can't think of everything. Got to be symbolism.
Well, stop telling yourself that, because that's where the paranoia comes from. If you go back to Elijah Muhammad said there's been thousands and thousands and thousands of signs. This shit is about to be a wrap. Elijah Muhammad said that back in the 60s. Right? So how many more signs has been given to us since then? So it's a lot of signs that we haven't been reading. We just been letting them go past, trying to fit into the society that was designed to oppress us.
Yep, put a cage on my mind, basically. Because once I remove that prison of a thought process, then I'm able to really tap in and allow that to become a part of my intuition. But sometimes, you know, like I said, because I'm like, damn, that can't be a sign. Because like literally, it's like all that numbers, on top of that, it's like numbers, numbers, to the point where I don't even look up the meaning of numbers anymore because I know them all by heart.
Mm-hmm. So that's when you start using numerology and gematria in real time, and that even fines tune the message. So the message becomes easier to assimilate when you understand what numbers mean. Because this is why you wear a watch. This is why you're supposed to wear a watch. We got cameras on our phone. Clocks on our phone now, because the every second of the day is a new set of numbers. Think about that. Every second of the day is a new set of numbers. And those same numbers several times a day are anagrams of one another. Those are what you call connection points. Right? So 24 hours in a day, but 12 months in a year. Right? So they say one day to the year. That means it took a whole year for it to happen. So in 12 and 24 is 36, and 3 and 6 is 9, and that's the turnaround.
Right. And 12 is 3. 24 is 6. And you add them together, then you get 9.
Yep. It got to be able to work frontwards and backwards in order for it to fit into an accurate read. Right? So the 369 is a code. It's a universal code for turning something around, or when you get to what we call 3-point convergence, that's GPS. So you need 3 points of convergence in order to get past the 2-point coincidence factor. Anything more than 2 is no longer coincidence. That means that, pay attention, this is a real sign. Right? That's how GPS need 3 points of convergence.
They will have to wait until the end of life to experience, which is basically, really seeing, there's a spiritual plane is overlaying this one. It's alive more than this one, which makes this one more of an illusion. It's highly energetic. You walk outside, you see the trees moving, you see maybe something else in the Argyle or the spaces in the spaces, basically a whole nother world. But then we come into the Matrix, and they ain't mention nothing about it. They still over here trying to figure out whether God is Santa Claus. You see what I mean? So it's a stark contrast, but it's to see these things like now, and that's why we call it word salad now, right? Because they can get on the Instagram and be like, and we're creators, and we're co-creating together, bringing in our vision and unity, and they go in with the words, right? Because that's only one part of it, though, right? It's got the words got to connect with the heart. And so all of these power languages, right? Because the power language is almost even like a symbolic Reiki. Once you speak the certain tone, it open up certain things in the reality. All depth level stuff, all grandma level. Don't sit on my couch. There's plastic. Don't talk when grown folks ain't talking to you. I'm gonna pop you in the mouth. Kind of deep level of things, right? You just sit and then you watch. And, if you can, and then you learn. So all of that then starts evolving, involving, that's why all of this physical reality stuff starts becoming petty. It starts being about what happens to generations over thousands of years, what happens with the migration of the souls and the merging of certain types of entities, so it's all, let's say, higher level stuff. So on the lower levels, we have, let's say, this language, and they even pointed it out, Arabic and Hebrew, because you got to understand what they do Kabbalistically, right? But they're just like these derivative languages. One is used to handle the government. One is used to handle the lowest layer of the spiritual world. The priestcraft use one language, and then the gubernatorial uses another language, and then tries to manage the people through that language. We grew up in that system. Now, we're coming into that awareness like, there was something that existed even before all of this. And then that's when we start getting into, hey, I'm the creator of my reality. That's something that you don't just say, though. You, of course, step into that. And then you realize, now I know what I'm talking about. And it hit me the other night. It was simply saying this. Did you know how every aspect of what you deal with in the reality is generally momentarily, like stimulus? Like at every moment, you're feeling like, hey, I'm going to go in here and talk to my daughter. Hey, I'm going to go in here and get on the show. Or, hey, even the 7 from 10 minutes ago is basically gone. Like that was momentary. Right. Were we ever going to see that 7 again? You see me? So a lot of this stuff is, you know, when you really just meditate on it, all the same thing. And then that thought sometimes will send you into like this into a frequency where it's just all of a sudden like, you know what I mean? It'd be just like that. That's what we call the codes to the matrix, because you could just be sitting in something and then it'll hit you with like, hey, don't you see it's all impulses? It's all fleeting. So that makes it all the same thing. Nothing. And then from that point, the whole reality be gone and it feels good. You know what I mean? So this is, you know, that constant growth. So yeah.
But even the Christians, they got a verse in the Bible that said, he that dies but yet lives shall find eternal life. What are they talking about? The death of the ego. Not of the physical self, but the ego. Right? Because when you dispense with the ego, you can see eternity. We eternal beings. In infinite bodies. And Noble Drew Ali say truth and falsehood strangely mix. This reality is the illusion that we using to express our creative potentialities. All of the alphabet was wrote by somebody. Who wrote them? Who wrote English alphabet? Who wrote Greek alphabet? Who wrote the Arabic alphabet and the Hebrew alphabet? What was they doing? Just sitting there and say, I just need to write some letters? Right? But when you study the occult sciences, you find out that all of the letters is assigned a whole bunch of energy frequencies.
Exactly.
It got a color attached to it. It got a musical note attached to it. Right? It got a number attached to it. Right? And it got a shape attached to it, geometry, trigonometry. Right? So every letter has the frequency, and when you put them together, it's like playing a harmonica. And this is where we get the verbal expressions using the language to somebody that we don't even know who wrote it. So we following the linguistic patterns of somebody we don't even know who he is.
Yep, and that is the
because that's who's controlling this reality. Because he's defined the reality by the confines of words expressed in frequency, color, tones, pitch, weight, and density. And once you understand that, you see beyond the words, and now you're moving into the realms of psychic expression.
So, in terms of, and this is absolutely amazing. I can't stress that enough tonight. So, shout out to once again. We got 4,300 people in here. Shout out once again to everybody in the chat. In terms of, we talked about the ego. Oh, thank you. All right, thank you. We talked about the ego separating things, and Rod talked about, Seven talked about how the ego likes to separate things. You know, there was a scene in the Matrix when Neo was trying to bend the spoon, and the little boy told Neo, realize that you are the spoon. I think, and I'm
he said, there is no spoon.
There is no spoon. Yeah, there is no spoon. So, what saying that to say, we're taught to command reality, right? You have to command reality. You have to command things into existence. When I want something, let's say I wanted Rod and Seven of them. We gotta like, you know, use references. When I Seven laughing, when I wanted to do this show tonight, I didn't command Seven. I command you to do this show. He would have said, "Nigga, get the fuck out of here." This nigga, if I would have said, "Rod Hayes, I command you to do this show today," he would say, "This nigga Rich is on drugs, brother Rich." But no, I had to ask Seven. I had to ask Rod, and they realized my intentions is a certain way, so they agreed to it. What I want to ask you when it comes to, because we know nothing is separate in our reality, our environment is an extension of our body. So let's say, what's that? What do they call that if I want this bottle to move with my eyes? What's that called?
Telekinesis.
Telekinesis. Do we have to use the same approach with these objects that we call inanimate, that we know is energy, that we know is intelligence? because we know the ether surrounds everything around us. So when we're talking to the ether disguised as a water bottle and we wanted to move, should I ask the bottle to move like I asked Rod Hayes to do the show? Is that the same approach? Because some people say command it. So I'm like, if we're going to get back to this high level of science where we could tap into telekinesis, do we command it or do we ask it like I asked Rod Hayes and asked 7711? So
look. With telekinesis,
on,
you using your mind, right?
Sir. Yeah.
You using your mind. Okay, it's like draw inside the lines, right? Color inside the lines. What happened when the lines is moved in the point where reality and ideas merge and become one? And imagine that you took the energetic outline of the bottle and you move it, and the bottle in the physical world say, oh shit, I'm not in my location, I need to get on my mark for the show. So in the 3D world, it looked like it slid across the table because you energetically moved its place. Right. So it's psychic powers. You learn how to use the psychic powers by exercising the psychic power.
Yeah.
Right. You won't never learn how to use it if you don't try it. Right. You have to try it first. They got other things that they call telekinesis, but they're a little bit different. Like you got chakras in the palms of your hand. You can concentrate energy and roll the pencil across the table if you know how to rev up the chakras in the palm of your hands. Right.
And this is also, Rod, what I even, while you're on that point is to understand that there is energy field training. Like
energy field training.
Yeah, because they still have, you can go and catch some of these YouTube videos, these Nigong masters and Qigong masters that you could tell it's not a hoax. They're setting stuff on fire with one hand. One is like pulling, the other one's pushing. But these techniques, it generally involves, first of all, that you get familiar with your own energy field and realize how to project your energy field over things. Because that's what they really show us. Like even the old heads be having energy fields so large, it's almost like they can throw their energy field around the other disciples and even pull them like the disciples is on a net, right? And so this, but I'm gonna get to the command side of things though, because that's another aspect. But just from the, from the roots, the training was to develop your energy field to a point where you would be able to put your energy field over things. And in that way, you can maneuver and manipulate that energy field, just like you saw Dynamo Jack moving that sword around with him just putting his chi all over the sword. And they use these swords too to hold energies of ancestors, etc., because objects like brass can be charged with this spiritual energy, right? But then when the whole command and that whole side of things, which is more like what you start seeing in the faith-based traditions, first of all, the root of it comes from dealing with spirits from the occult level and basically constraining spirits beyond their will, which is still the other side of what goes on in these spiritual religious systems, is basically instead of being gentle and peaceable with the spirit, basically trying to entreat the spirit like an ancestor to help you with something, they try to confine and do harm or constrain the spirit, right? Which then involves these evocation.
They extorting the spirit into doing their bidding.
Exactly. And that's where that, hey, you gotta command, because then there's another level where it's like a faith thing. This is where faith, is also another level of power, because it pushes into, like Rob was saying before, like a catharsism where you convince yourself so much, it's like a mania. Some call it megalomania. But even in that, you touch into something that will have that cup sliding all across the table, whatever caused that. You see what I mean? So there are some that they get dominant with the field, and then they try to demand the field to do something, and then they try to work a system of magic in that level, versus one who has trained their field, versus another one who is entreating spirits with the different things that spirits are entreated by to do different things. You see what I mean? So the energy is a bit different on each of those.
It's the same thing that the people do in Hollywood. This is what they call it, selling your soul, but you can't sell your soul. You can only sell what your soul produce. And normally your soul production is some type of artistic expression. So whoever captures your artistic expression in the realm of magic has captured your soul. And that's why they always after the masters of the artists. They always want the original film because that's where the source of the power is.
Yeah, and the two-dimensional imprint of the signature on the contract. You see what I mean? And this is why, that's why we're also saying that still, you know, even with the Christian thing and the religious thing, this stuff is very dangerous. Why it can seem like a game, we still have thousands, if not millions of souls that are just, you know, they say you're going by the wayside because of not realizing the potency of this particular magic, if you may. And that comes from not even believing magic exists.
Yeah, because they turned it into fairy tales that only children believe in. So therefore, the adults are going to be too stubborn to indulge in childish fantasies of magic and mysticism. So they teach it to the children as if it's a joke, when it's the highest form of liberating art you can teach them. But by making a mockery out of it, they don't look at it as being potentially real. So they suspend their imagination through the 12-step thinking detox called education.
So real quick. So we're talking, and this is too good. This is too good, y'all. I knew it was gonna be good, but this is awesome. So speaking of fairy tale, and we hear about, we're talking about, I mentioned earlier about ancient civilizations like Atlantis and telepathic civilizations. When we hear stories about us being half horse, half human, this shit was for real? Like, talk to me about, like,
that was called the mythic period of Earth.
Yes.
Talk to me. Explain this shit, Rod.
Okay, during the mythic period, you came in what's called your metaphysical form or your mythic form. Right. Many of them came in as fairies, gnomes, but now we in what's called the human phase of the development. So nobody's allowed to come in a mythic form, but you can still see the fairy in the face of the young human that's a fairy in the mythic realm. Right? So this is a genetic expression where you see the dude built like a horse, strong as a mug. He's modeling the energy of that centaur you talking about, right? Or he look like he kind of remind you of a bull, nose spread wide. He's looking like a minotaur, right? But the energy, we had to all come in human form. So Tahuti can't come in as a Benu bird. He got to come in as a man. And Osiris and Ra and Set and all of them got to come in human form. Right? And during this period, everybody got to have amnesia when you come in as a human so you can know what it's like and what you